concept of spiritual warfare refers to the battle between forces of good, represented by angels and divine entities, and the forces of evil, represented by demons and malevolent spirits, as described in scriptures. It emphasizes an ongoing metaphysical struggle that transcends the physical world, influencing the spiritual and moral dimensions of human life. This concept is crucial for understanding the narrative of angels and demons in spiritual texts, as it frames the cosmic conflict as one deeply entwined with human existence. The significance of spiritual warfare in scriptures lies in its role in explaining the existence of evil, suffering, and moral challenges faced by humanity. It serves as a lens through which believers can comprehend the presence of both divine guidance and temptation, encouraging a life of vigilance, faith, and reliance on divine power to overcome adversity. Spiritual warfare underscores the importance of ethical behavior, prayer, and spiritual resilience as means of engaging in this celestial battle. Two real-world applications of this concept include the practice of exorcism and the emphasis on spiritual disciplines within faith communities. Exorcism, a ritual intended to expel evil spirits, is an explicit expression of spiritual warfare, seeking to liberate individuals from demonic influence. This underscores the belief in the active presence of spiritual forces and the power of divine authority. Secondly, many religious traditions promote prayer, fasting, and meditation as tools for strengthening one's spiritual defenses, reflecting the ongoing battle believers perceive against evil influences. Opinions supporting the idea of spiritual warfare often emphasize the transformative power of faith and the strength derived from divine alliance. Many religious leaders advocate for the awareness of spiritual warfare as a means of fostering community, moral integrity, and spiritual growth, arguing that recognizing and confronting these battles can lead to a more profound spiritual life. However, the concept is not without its controversies and challenges. Skeptics argue that spiritual warfare can lead to fear-based doctrines or be misused to justify harmful behaviors like exclusion or oppression. Critics also point out the potential for such beliefs to oversimplify complex psychological or social issues by attributing them solely to spiritual causes. Despite these challenges, the notion of spiritual warfare profoundly influences other aspects of the main topic, such as angelology, demonology, and eschatology. The perception of angels and demons as real entities in this cosmic conflict underscores their respective roles as agents of divine will or manifestations of evil, shaping the narrative of spiritual warfare and its relevance to human life. This interconnectedness enriches the understanding of scriptures, offering believers a framework for interpreting the spiritual dynamics at play in their lives. The concept of the origin and roles of angels in religious texts delves into understanding where angels come from and what functions they serve according to various religious doctrines. Angels are often depicted as celestial beings, serving as intermediaries between the divine and humanity. In many religious texts, they are portrayed as messengers of God, protectors of humans, and warriors against evil forces, holding specific roles that highlight their importance in spiritual narratives. Their significance in the context of angels and demons, the spiritual warfare hidden in scriptures, is profound. They play critical roles in the grand cosmic battle between good and evil, acting as agents of divine will and exemplifying the forces of light against the darkness represented by demons. This notion of spiritual warfare is central to many religious teachings, illustrating the ongoing struggle for the souls of humanity. Consider the example of the angel Gabriel in the Christian tradition, who is known for delivering God's messages. His appearances to the Virgin Mary and the prophet Daniel demonstrate his role as a divine messenger. Similarly, in Islam, Gabriel, Jibril, is revered as the angel who conveyed the Quran to Prophet Muhammad, emphasizing the critical function of angels as conveyors of divine guidance. Another example is the Archangel Michael, often depicted as a warrior angel. In Christian eschatology, Michael is seen as the leader of God's army in the fight against Satan's forces, illustrating the role of angels as guardians and protectors in the spiritual realm. There are varied opinions regarding the roles of angels. Some view them as comforting symbols of divine protection and guidance, providing believers with a sense of security and hope. However, skepticism exists, with some arguing against the literal interpretation of angels, viewing them as metaphorical constructs rather than real entities. Challenges arise in reconciling different religious perspectives on angels, where interpretations can vary widely. For instance, in Hinduism and Buddhism, celestial beings like devas have roles similar to angels but are integrated into a vastly different theological framework, prompting debates about their nature and purpose. These discussions influence the broader topic by illustrating how interpretations of angels can shape beliefs about moral order, divine intervention, and human destiny. Understanding the origins and roles of angels thus enhances the analysis of spiritual warfare, offering insights into how these profound battles influence religious beliefs and human behavior. By examining these celestial figures, we gain a deeper understanding of the dynamics of good versus evil as depicted across various spiritual traditions. The concept of the fallen angels, demons in scriptural narratives, encompasses the idea that certain spiritual beings, originally created as angels, chose to rebel against divine will and became known as demons. This transformation from benevolent entities to malevolent forces is pivotal in understanding the dynamics of spiritual warfare as portrayed in various religious scriptures. The fallen angels, often led by a chief adversarial figure like Lucifer or Satan, embody the pervasive struggle between good and evil, serving as agents of chaos and opposition to divine order. The significance of fallen angels in spiritual warfare narratives lies in their dual nature. As once pure beings turned corrupt, they embody the potential for good and evil within the spiritual realm. This duality not only enriches the complexity of religious texts, but also offers a powerful metaphor for the moral struggles faced by believers. The existence of demons underscores the necessity of vigilance and spiritual fortitude in resisting temptation and maintaining faith. One specific example is the biblical account of Lucifer's fall from grace, often interpreted as a cautionary tale about pride and rebellion. This narrative illustrates the consequences of defying divine authority, emphasizing spiritual accountability. Another example is the story of the Nephilim, mentioned in the book of Genesis, which depicts fallen angels cohabiting with humans and producing offspring. This blending of realms highlights the blurred lines between the spiritual and temporal worlds, illustrating the pervasive influence of fallen angels. The interpretation of fallen angels has been supported by theologians who argue that these narratives provide essential lessons about humility, obedience, and the eternal struggle between good and evil. However, controversy arises regarding the literal versus allegorical interpretations of these scriptures. Some scholars argue that these narratives are symbolic, meant to convey deeper philosophical truths, while others insist on their historical and metaphysical authenticity. Such debates reflect broader theological tensions about the nature of evil and divine justice. This concept of fallen angels is intricately connected to the broader theme of spiritual warfare, as it defines one of the chief antagonistic forces believers must face. It influences discussions about human moral responsibility, the role of divine intervention, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. Understanding the narratives of fallen angels allows for a deeper comprehension of the ongoing cosmic battle depicted in scriptures, offering insights into the spiritual realities that inform religious beliefs and practices worldwide. Angelic and demonic influence on human affairs is a fascinating and complex concept, rooted deeply in various religious traditions, particularly within Judeo-Christian scriptures. This idea suggests that supernatural beings, angels and demons, are not just passive observers, but active participants in the human world. Angels are often depicted as messengers or agents of divine will, tasked with guiding, protecting, and sometimes delivering messages from God to humans. Conversely, demons are typically seen as malevolent entities seeking to lead humans astray, fostering chaos, and tempting humanity away from righteous paths. The significance of this idea is profound, as it presents a dualistic understanding of spirituality, highlighting an ongoing spiritual warfare invisible to the naked eye, yet profoundly impacting the material realm. This underscores the religious belief that the stakes are high in human choices and behavior, as these supernatural entities purportedly influence both individual lives and broader historical events. One illustrative example can be found in the biblical story of the Annunciation, where the Archangel Gabriel visits Mary to announce the forthcoming birth of Jesus, symbolizing divine intervention and guidance in human history. On the darker side, the temptation of Christ in the wilderness by Satan showcases demonic influence attempting to derail a divine mission, illustrating the ongoing spiritual conflict. Supporters of this worldview argue that acknowledging these influences provides a framework for understanding the moral and ethical challenges humans face, offering a sense of purpose and urgency to spiritual life. However, this perspective is not without its challenges. Critics argue that attributing human behavior and historical events to supernatural forces can diminish personal responsibility and accountability. Moreover, skeptics may view such beliefs as remnants of pre-scientific thinking, arguing that human psychology and sociocultural factors play more substantial roles in shaping human affairs. Despite these contentions, this concept of spiritual influence connects intricately with broader themes in spiritual warfare, suggesting that human struggles are not merely physical and psychological, but profoundly spiritual. This perspective encourages adherents to seek spiritual strength and discernment, promoting practices of faith, prayer, and moral vigilance. Understanding angelic and demonic influences offers a lens through which believers perceive their world, lending depth and urgency to the scrutiny of daily life, choices and allegiances, and possibly inspiring individuals to align themselves more fully with perceived divine intentions.